Hello, I am Yoshi, and these are my co-hosts Emmy and Cadence. And you are listening to Inconsequential Questions. How are you guys doing today?
Uh, Same as always. I'm good though.
I'm doing okie dokie.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. So our question today is, what if we lost the ability to speak and only converse through telepathy? Cadence asked this question. Do you want to sort of explain a little bit?
Yeah, so like basically you don't talk through your mouth, you talk through your mind. So basically you aim your thoughts at a certain person at all times. Like you can't
And you can speak to multiple people at once,
yeah,
right?
you can speak to multiple people at once, but you have to but you can't think to yourself anymore, basically.
Oh,
Right, you can't keep your thoughts to yourself. So.
Yeah, they have to be directed at somebody at all times.
Yeah, so if it's only you and one other person in the room, then you guys are just going to be sharing thoughts and you can't do anything about it.
Yep.
Okay. So would there be no more liars?
I mean, in a way, but also, I mean, it depends on who you're talking to, because it's not like everybody always hears your thoughts. It's just one person, unless you want to talk to multiple people and aim those thoughts to multiple people.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, say the police were interrogating someone, they could just, get that person alone in the room, and then they would have no choice but to give up their thoughts.
Yeah.
I guess they could just distract their mind with other things, but
I feel like it'd be really hard to, though.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to do.
Especially at first, if this is all new, you're like, what is going on?
Yeah, but that's another thing. We obviously we can not just say the first thing that pops to our mind, most people anyways. So I think maybe with this, if we conversed this way, that perhaps we would figure out a way to sort of protect our mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think definitely over time, yeah. But at first it's going to be chaos.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, sort of chaos. Although I feel like this is one that wouldn't really result in that much chaos.
I do have a question though. If we were to learn how to protect our own thought, separate our thoughts from what we want to tell other people, would you have layers to your thoughts? Would it separate your independent thoughts, your inner monologue, from what you want to tell other people over time?
That's an interesting idea.
I don't know. Maybe over time, but I think at first definitely not. You wouldn't be able to differentiate and control that. The only thing you could really control is who it's going to. I feel like at first, at least.
Okay.
But
also, is the reason that we can't converse vocally that we just can't make noise with our mouths, or we can't hear? Can other animals still, make their noises?
I would say it's just a human thing. Probably just something with our vocal cords.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Humans have a really complex ability to be able to speak. One reason why a lot of animals can't speak isn't just because they don't have it in their brain, but because they don't have what everything necessary, all the muscles and stuff for their mouth to be able to vocalize and speak. So if that just malfunctioned, maybe.
How what about people with different languages? Would we be able to, because okay, we talked about this a slight bit beforehand, and you said that we would be able to share sort of images that we create in our mind with each other.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
how I mean, that means that people who speak different languages, of course, I guess there's not really languages anymore. There's mind languages. There's sort of languages, but so would we be able to more easily communicate with people that speak other languages?
I would say so. Yeah, I think that would definitely help a lot with language barriers, because you can see what they're visualizing and kind of get a sense of what they're trying to tell you or talk about.
Mm-hmm. And you could, I feel like you'd be able to think of a concept, like for people that have a hard time articulating, they'd be able to think of a concept in their head and just shoot it to somebody else's brain.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Mm.
That would make, yeah, this would probably make everything easier, honestly.
Yeah.
But then it comes to like the topic of privacy. What about like private thoughts and private ideas and stuff that you don't like necessarily want to share or want to share yet?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I thought it
Mhm.
would be because, okay, so you have to share your thoughts with someone, but it can be like, say you're in a room full of people, you can share it selectively to one person and nobody else.
Yeah.
Um, and so I thought it would maybe be a good idea to like choose someone who is like your best friend and you guys do everything together. Or I guess, yeah, best friend or partner, whoever they would be, but just someone that you can share everything with. So if you're thinking thoughts that you don't want to share with people, then you can just shoot them to that person. And yeah,
Yeah. And so would we like as a society or like a community, would we develop like a buddy system? Like people just find somebody that they can share their thoughts with and just have that person with them all the time?
yeah, I feel like we would. And also with that, you're both sharing your thoughts with each other, so it kind of bonds you together.
Yeah.
Like there can't be a one-way bridge.
Yeah.
Like as it is right now, you can have someone who maybe they lie to you or they just don't tell you everything and they can just share with you what they want to share with you while you're sharing with them everything about you, and that's kind of a one-way bridge. But with this, you'd have to share with each other.
Think things like not like you guys had brought up interrogation and stuff. I think things like therapy and maybe like lectures where people are trying to get out like ideas and concepts like mentioned earlier, but also when people are trying to get out feelings but they can't articulate it, they could just shoot it to somebody else like, hey, there's this memory that I have. I don't know how to articulate it. Here's the memory. Now you have that memory. Would it be like
Yeah.
that?
That's actually, hang on, what if um like, are you able to project feelings onto other people? Because
That's a good
that's like technically a part of your mind, right? So
Yeah. I didn't think about that. I think that would be, I mean, yeah, I would assume so because that kind of falls under the same
so we're
thing.
basically like a hive mind now.
Little bit, yeah.
like a high five with like select people or just in general. That'd be kind of spooky. Oh, you might be able to diffuse conflicts easier.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, um, yeah, I don't know that conflicts would be as much of a problem because, like, you can more perfectly explain your side of the story, or not your side of the story, but like why you are thinking one way to the person you're having a conflict with, and then perhaps they would actually understand, like, why you did what you did.
Yeah, like when working in customer service and somebody like if a customer has a problem with something and they're like, "Why does this work this way? I don't understand." You as like the employee shoot the reason into their head, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, I guess."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or if a customer's like being really rude and you're like in how it is right now, say a customer's being really rude to you and you're like, my goodness, this customer's just so rude. I wonder what, or, and then you get upset at them because they're being rude. But in this world, then if they're being rude, they would just like show you like a quick like playthrough of like how their day has been. And maybe their day has been just terrible.
yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Because the other day at work, there was this woman that came in and she was very mad that we couldn't fill her medication. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. But then a few minutes later, she shared that her husband had just died. I was like, oh, okay. So if they could share like things like that, like you had explained, they shared like why they were being rude, because they've been having a hard time, then yeah, it might be easier to reduce conflicts.
Hmm.
Mhm. What about like some people might have might be like kind with like their words and their actions, but they might not have kind thoughts. Like they might have like mean thoughts, or like their thoughts might have to go through a filter. But if we are constantly sharing our thoughts and we don't
Now you
like
can't do that.
now you can't do that. It doesn't go through a filter anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that would like relieve like a lot of like toxicity and like fake friends and like snakes, like all of that.
I think so too.
Yeah, I agree. And so if this is a thing that like happened all of a sudden, and it wasn't like this has been happening since the beginning of time, then I think at first, yeah, like a lot of those people who are like that, just lying and toxic, all, yeah, I think their lives would kind of really be not good for a little while. But ultimately, I think everyone would be a lot better probably,
I think so
because
too.
then those people wouldn't be allowed to do that.
Yeah, like it would be able to rule out like people who have malicious intent.
Well, yeah, if they had malicious intent, they wouldn't really survive well in society.
No, they wouldn't. We'd know right away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no tricking anyone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it would. I feel like everything would just be a lot safer too. Like obviously, if somebody was like planning to go like shoot up a school or something, like you would know it has to be directed at somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like, if someone's gonna rob your house, like as soon as they, of course, I don't know what like the range on how far your thoughts go, but like, uh, if someone's gonna rob your house and they're alone and you're alone, then they have to project their thoughts onto someone. So
If
it
they
Yeah.
means that
have,
someone's robbing your house.
yeah. If they have like a buddy with them, like the buddy system, then they have somebody that they are projecting their thoughts to, then it might not necessarily
Yeah.
go to
Yeah.
somebody else.
Yeah, I still think there'd be ways to do things. It'd just be a lot harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be a lot safer and a lot easier to protect yourself. Everything.
Yeah. And if like people are in school and like students are having a hard time understanding a concept, but a teacher like really knows the concept, knows like this concept very well, like earlier they could just project that to all the students. And if a student is struggling, they could project that, like their struggle, their feelings, what they don't understand, to like their teacher, and maybe they could fix that.
Yeah. Yeah, just like all conflict and misunderstandings are much more easily resolvable.
I feel like you would have a very open-minded, clear communication type of society, because there's no misunderstandings or like lying or minded. Like, yeah, your mind is
Quite
open.
literally open-minded,
Yeah.
yes.
Really. And but what about like things like movie theaters? Like if you go into a movie theater and you're watching a movie, but everybody is like in the same room, if you would have to have like a buddy system with you as
Wait,
well to keep.
no, movies don't work.
No, that's not what they're saying. They're not saying like the movie like projecting thoughts like I don't know, like
Okay, I'm
keep
sorry, I
explaining what you were
interrupted.
saying. Yeah, I was like
Okay. So let's say like so movie theaters, you're supposed to be like quiet and not talk, not disturb anybody, right?
Oh yeah.
But let's say but like if a bunch of people, if we like all communicate telepathically, we're all in a movie theater, you would have to have everybody would have to have a buddy to keep from everyone projecting like their own thoughts to like random people while watching a movie together.
Yeah, that's the thing I was kind of wondering is can you like, so you can't mute. That's, we've already determined that.
Mhm.
But can you like deafen
Yeah.
where you can't hear other people's thoughts? Because that seems like it'd be really annoying to just always,
yeah.
like, say you walk into a room and a dozen people start projecting their thoughts on you. Like, there's so much stuff just filling your mind all of a sudden. Like, that
Yeah.
sounds terrible.
I don't know about like completely deafened, but I feel like you could to the sense of like where it's like if you have headphones on basically, like like at least quiet it.
Mhm.
Yeah, kind of muffle.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait, are you saying you have to wear headphones, or
No, no,
like
no.
you
I'm
can
not
do
saying
that?
you have to wear headphones. I'm just saying like
Okay.
the same effect of wearing headphones. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
What if like pharmaceutical industries or something, some company or whatever, like pharmaceutical industries or a company or whatever could come out with a product that would make it easier to like push out other people's thoughts, and if it's like a regular thing that people use, um or would it be like an evolutionary thing, like we learn to push out other people's thoughts?
Um, I really don't know. I feel like either way could really happen. Um, maybe over time we just evolve and develop that, or maybe we just like even just learn to ignore it and like get used to it. But I don't know. That's a good question.
Mhm.
Or what if they develop something that allows you to like protect your own thoughts?
Yeah.
So it's something that allows you to not have to share them.
I don't even know how you would do that.
I don't know. It's like sciencey stuff.
Fancy stuff.
I mean,
I f-
we've created a hypothetical situation and a hypothetical pharmacy company that creates a hypothetical medicine, and you're asking me how they would do that?
Yeah. Yep. I want you to figure it out, Joshi. How do you do that?
right now.
Yeah.
Well, then I have a question to add on to that. Like, if they created some sort of medicine that made it so that your thoughts couldn't be heard by other people, um, what if like various governments across like the world were to like have very specific like rules and laws in accordance to that? Like, maybe that medication is only reserved for like people in like political office, because if the citizens of a country knew like everything that the country was doing, it might stress the citizens out. Or like with doctors, like maybe a doctor knows like how severe your case is in like a medical circumstance, if you have like a medical thing going on, but they're trying to have good bedside manner and be more gentle with delivering the bad news. If you can hear their thoughts, you might not want to hear like how terrible your circumstances might be. But depending on who you are, maybe you do.
Hmm. I feel like, I mean, for like the political stuff, I feel like they would always have like an aide with them, anyways, that they could direct their thoughts to. So, I mean, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like they could just always have somebody there to keep that from happening.
Okay.
Also, like, I mean, I don't think the whole like country would know what they're thinking
Yeah.
because, well, okay, we need to explore a little bit of, okay, say they weren't using technology, then like, so we determined that this um whatever you call this telepathy, it's sort of like how you can change the volume of your voice to determine how far away someone can hear you.
Yeah.
Um, which actually, wait, so what if like you're there's only you and one other person, and they're like 30 feet away from you? Can you like make your mind like a whisper so that they won't hear you?
Can I control like the output of your thought, or like your thoughts?
Yeah, maybe it's like the more intense the thought, the more range it has, sort of.
Mm, mm, well, so they're the only person around?
Yeah.
Um, I would say you can quiet it to like a whisper, but like, I don't know.
Okay, but okay, my question is like kind of like the range. Like, what if they're the only person around, but they're a mile away? Like,
Uh, um, I I feel like yeah, like they can still hear you. Like it's just the
so it
closest
just goes
person to
to the
you.
closest person.
Yeah, the closest person automatically to you. Yeah,
Well,
Feel. Go ahead.
unless you
okay,
specify like
but
other.
okay, this gets messy.
Yeah,
Because if they can still hear you, okay, what if they're the closest person to you, but they're 100 miles away?
I can't think of a scenario where there would ever be the.
Okay, but say this happens. This is a hypothetical.
Oh, this is a stupid hypothetical. That's not possible.
Well, what if you're like
No, that's definitely
lost?
possible. I mean,
Yeah,
what if
like
she
what
went to the
you're.
moon?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess
Or
not.
like, what if you're lost at sea or like lost in the desert or something? You'd be able
Yeah.
to be found easy, which is good, but at the same time, you would never have alone time. Like to
Well,
your thoughts.
okay, but my question then is like, if you can still reach them while they're 100 miles away just because they're the closest person, then if you're in a room full of people, but you have your friend who's 50 miles away, can you still just project to them instead of having to project to one of the people in the room?
No, because it has to be the closest to you. Or
No.
well, oh, wait, wait,
Wait.
wait, wait.
This
Find it
doesn't
like a
work
dedicated
because
person.
now
No, that's
what if I have to put my head up against someone else's? So now I'm only projecting to them and I can't talk to the person who's 5 feet away.
dude. I don't fucking know. I don't know. Man. This is so
I feel like this
messy.
has to be
But,
kind of like speaking where, you can talk to someone who's 5 feet away in a pretty normal voice, but if they're 30 feet away, now you got to shout to them.
Yeah, I feel like you
yeah,
would better like that. Like you would have to actively focus on making your thoughts louder and project farther to reach the
Exactly.
designated person.
yeah.
So like, yeah, and I mean, I think maybe it would be sort of like certain people have better hearing, right? So you can hear someone speaking from a little bit further away. And I think perhaps equally, like some people would have, you know, better be able to hear thoughts better from
Well,
further away.
the thing is, like, you don't hear it through your ears, though. It's in your head.
Yeah. I don't know how it would be determined who hears better or something like that.
I don't think it would.
But
I think
sort of,
everybody would
yeah.
hear it the same.
Okay.
'Cause it's in your head. It doesn't have anything to
I'm
do
just
with
like,
your
there's
ear.
differences in your brain, so
Yeah.
I have another question to add, to ask them.
Yeah.
Some people don't have an internal monologue. Like they think, but their
yeah.
thoughts don't sound like verb. Like they don't sound like a language. Like it doesn't sound like they're speaking or thinking to themselves like how somebody else would. They just think in abstract ways. And they don't have like an internal voice in their head with their thoughts. So would they just project like concepts and ideas to people?
I would assume so, yeah.
Mhm,
Just in whatever the best way they could.
mhm. And another question that I would have is would radio still be a thing? Or like how would that affect like movies and TV shows and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Audiobooks.
what I was gonna get to.
Mhm.
So like with the political guy, like, so okay, so we talked about this very slightly beforehand, and you said that if like in order for um you to communicate through technology, you'd have to see the person, like their face, like on the screen. Um,
Yes.
so then, okay, this is really messy. Um,
Yeah.
so like the political guy gets up and someone like records him not speaking but thinking, um, and then like anyone who sees it, they just get his thoughts.
Well, so say like a political person is like giving like a speech. He's projecting his thoughts out to the crowd that's already there. And so I think the camera would be able to pick up on that. But if he's just thinking and directing his thoughts to one specific person, it can't pick it up. It has to be projected.
Right. Okay. So the camera is not really a camera; it's a thought capturer.
Yeah. Something
Yeah.
like something like that.
Maybe it would be kind of like if it's a thought maybe like they would just be staring at the camera and it would like capture their thoughts. They don't have to like have any like how we have a microphone when we want to record audio, we wouldn't have like a something else that would capture the thoughts and put
Yeah.
them on. Okay.
Then I was also going to ask, like, still shot pictures. Like, say
Yeah.
someone, when you take the picture, they're like, they think of an image or something, and so now every time you look at that picture of the person, you see their thought, their image.
I don't know. Maybe not necessarily.
Like, okay, maybe when the picture is taken, if they're projecting their thoughts onto a specific person and not the camera, then maybe it doesn't.
Yeah.
But if they do project it onto the camera, then like, yeah.
Sure.
Or like because like pictures are taken like in a split second and your thoughts move like very, very quickly. Maybe you would only have like a split second of a thought, like an interrupted part of a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was only captured for that moment in time. So what if you're thinking, like your full thought is, I want to go get burritos at the store later today, but the picture only captures burritos.
or just be like, you look at the image, you just hear but.
Think
The
pictures
first
with
half of burritos just burr.
it'd be funny.
Wait, okay, so that brings into question, like, old cameras, they would like stand there for however long as the like exposure film or whatever it's called.
Hmm.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they'd stand there for a while. So then would that capture more thoughts, even though it's still just a still image?
I think it
Um,
would, because like it takes like a full minute, I think, for a lot of those cameras, or like maybe a couple of minutes for it to fully capture that image. So you're just standing there projecting your thoughts at the camera during that time. I feel like it would be able to capture more.
unless you're not projecting your thoughts onto it, then yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's like say you are projecting your thoughts, perhaps when you look at that image, it's like you get all the thoughts that were thought during that time just really fast, like
Mhm.
faster than you can process.
Yeah, probably.
Like
Oh
if you
gosh.
sped up a video to like 50 times speed or something.
Oh geez. Would you be able to understand it then, or would the like
No.
No.
no? Oh, then I feel like in this situation, if this was something that were to happen like suddenly, and like if it happened today, then it might not apply to back then. But if it did happen like back then I feel like it would apply. But anyway, I was gonna say something else. Let's say it were to happen like right now. Like none of us were able to speak or like verbally communicate anymore, but we were able to like telepathically project our thoughts. Then people who were incapable of like speaking or like verbalizing, like people that have like extreme physical or mental disabilities, people like that have had strokes, or people that are in a coma, like maybe they would be able to talk to us and communicate to us.
Yeah.
I don't know about the coma though, because your mind is kind of, you don't
That's your
know who you're.
subconscious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be the same as sleep, and I feel like perhaps a way to address that is sort of a like say your dreams, like maybe there's just kind of it's as if you're sleep talking, like
Okay.
people can hear it. You can't project onto them. Actually, I guess you sort of can. It would wake them up. um, well, maybe it would. Depends on how loud your thought is. Just project a horror movie onto them. That'll wake them up.
Definitely.
But yeah, I think maybe it would be like they can sort of project their thoughts outward a little bit, but not really. It's their subconscious. It's not like they're actually
Yeah.
communicating.
Okay. Then people who like were incapable, like not able to speak.
Like mute or like.
Yeah. Like people that have some form of like some form of disability and they weren't able to speak beforehand, now they can communicate to us. Do you feel that because we can understand people that like have those disabilities, we might be more accommodating to people with disabilities because they can communicate with us what they want, what they need easier?
Yeah, I definitely think we would.
Yeah.
And also, like, I think it would also, well, I think it would change because right now they can't like say what they need. So then we could just, get them what they need because they can tell us. But it would also make us sort of I don't know. I feel like it would change the general feeling towards them
I think so too.
because right now, like, there's sort of this, fringe of society, like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think this would perhaps change that.
And I mean, I wonder if that would even qualify as a disability anymore since you could communicate now.
Depends on the thing, but yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously there's different levels of it, but
If you were mute just because, like, I don't know, your tongue rotted off or something like that, then obviously that wouldn't really matter.
yeah.
Then I have another question. If you have like a buddy, like your buddy system, and you guys are going back and forth with each other's thoughts, how are you able to like if this is your designated buddy that you're with a lot of the time, how are you able to like distinguish and have time to like think for yourself while also hearing their thoughts and not like you're able to separate the two and not be overwhelmed by having two people's thoughts in your head at once?
I was kind of wondering that too, because, like, once again, what if you walked into a room and 12 people projected their thoughts onto you?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like walking into a room and 12 people try to talk to you all at once.
Yeah. I mean, really,
Exactly.
it would just be like you're just thinking out loud, basically. I mean, it's the first things that come into your head is what you project or transfer.
All right. So it's okay. So it's like you're talking to yourself and also someone else is talking to you.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be a little bit confusing.
Yeah. Well, it's like you're talking to yourself, but they can just hear you.
I feel like it would be easier to get like creative ideas out. Like if you have a tattoo idea, but you can't draw, but you know it's something that's like unique in your head, that you haven't seen like in a picture, you go to an artist and you like project that idea to them, and then they're like, "Oh, word," and then they can draw it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be really cool.
That would be really
Yeah, it
cool.
would.
Commissions would be so much easier.
Yeah. I feel like just about everything is easier with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should
And
just do this.
If only we could just do this.
we could.
Yeah, we should just evolve to do this.
I know. What the heck? Why are we taking so long?
Yeah. Oh, if we were to like project our feelings onto like, other people so that like they know how we feel, um, it would be easy. It would be hard for like people that have a hard time asking for help. It would be hard for them to not ask for help because they're projecting how they feel. But like and like
Yeah.
we know like they're having a hard time. We know that like they're struggling, like maybe they're in danger or something. Um, and we'd be able to know quicker, and we might be able to help people that are struggling with psychological issues or they're just having a hard time in general. It'd be easier to help people that need help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Anyone who, even if they're just like, I don't know, just stubborn and don't want to be helped, they have no choice but to ask for help.
It's like, look, buddy, your thoughts are telling me you do need help.
Like, you should be put in a psych ward.
Put you in a psych ward.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
what
that
about psych
actually,
wards?
yeah, I was gonna say, man,
Yeah.
if you're hearing everybody's thoughts, like if they're able to project their thoughts onto somebody, you would need, and if you're in a situation, if you're in a psych ward where like people are not mentally sane, like or like are not stable and they're not having like rational thoughts, but you're surrounded by other people that also aren't having rational thoughts, I feel like you would need some form of suppressant so that mentally unstable people aren't receiving other people's instability, like unstable thoughts at the same time they're receiving their own, you know?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or like, what do you guys think? What would you say about that?
Um,
I don't know. Joshi, you got any ideas?
Wait. Okay, I think maybe I'm slightly confused. What's the question?
Oh, like, what do you guys think about like projecting thoughts and psych wards, like mental hospitals and stuff?
I mean, yeah. I was just kind of thinking about like even like in school, like kids could just talk to each other and hatch whatever mischievous
Cheat on
plans.
tests. Like
Oh, oh yeah, definitely.
tests.
Um,
You'd have to test differently.
that's a whole nother topic. Hang on.
Oh no, sorry.
But yeah, in a similar way with a psych ward, I guess, yeah, you're right. They would need some way to like shield them from each other because they would just feed off each other
Mhm.
and probably just make things worse.
Yeah.
Although at the same time, perhaps, I don't know. I was thinking perhaps that like people, that have like good intentions and whatnot would be able to project their thoughts onto those people and perhaps help them change easier. But
I think so too. Like yeah.
maybe this would just result in the people who have bad intentions projecting onto the people who have good intentions and changing them bad. So maybe all this would actually go backwards.
I mean, I think really it just depends on the kind of person you are. If you're that easily susceptible to change like that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like in overall society.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know, just like where would the lines be drawn? Because as it is right now, like a a a person who is quote unquote fundamentally bad can blend in with normal society because well they can just lie or something like that. Um, and so like in this society you wouldn't be able to do that. So I think people who just have bad intentions would kind of group together and you'd sort of have this almost civil war kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which
Like
is not good.
that's not good. Like if they could just group together to protect their own like thoughts from receiving other people, then you would have gangs of people with bad intentions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be spooky. What about like in situations like what if you don't have a buddy with you and you get into like an elevator with one person? Would you just initiate small talk?
Yeah, I would assume so. I mean, you don't have to, but I mean, anything that you're thinking, they would hear.
And if one of you farts in the elevator,
No.
you would know. When do people hide things like that?
Be like, that's alright.
Like, sorry, man. Oh, it's okay. I farted 2 minutes ago. Don't worry.
So, what about like, is there any material that like your thoughts can't go through? Like, we have like, say you're trapped in a steel box, your voice isn't really going to be heard much outside that. So, is there some way of like muffling or stopping these projections?
It's a good question. I don't know.
Maybe like your thoughts do have a limit, just like your voice has a limit as to how loud and how far they can project. Because, like, if I were to shout as loud as I possibly can throughout the house, somebody on the other side of the house may or may not be able to hear me, depending on how loud my voice can go and how like thin or not thin the walls of the house are. So maybe it works the same with thoughts, but then it goes back to always having to project your thoughts onto somebody else and always having to do so to another person. So I don't know, because if it doesn't apply to like the laws of like physics, then it might have like its own laws and ways of working.
Yeah.
Um,
Because I like, what if for, yeah, like with the people in psych ward, if there was some sort of material that could stop them from being able to project to each other that you could like line the walls with, then that would sort of help.
yeah, like if you could wear a hat that would keep that, like an aluminum foil
Like
hat.
the aliens like to get
Yeah.
really abducted.
No, what if it's lead? You just have to wear a lead
Like,
hat.
oh
That'd
my
be so.
god. That'd be like, and that's how you keep your thoughts from projecting to other people. You just wear a hat all the time.
Aluminum tinfoil.
This is like a really mundane thing, but what if like somebody's giving you a ride home and they're like, "What's your address?" And you don't know how to like give them directions, but you know where your house is. You could just project that to them, and they're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, you don't know your address and you
No,
don't know how to give them directions. So how do you know where your house is?
okay, hold on. you know your address, but you don't know like let's say you're in one part of town and your house is in another part of town. You know where your address is. Like you know your address. They don't like know you could tell them your address, but you don't know how to give them the directions like to get to your house or to get to like a specific building. But you know like I'm really bad at giving directions. I don't know streets. I know
Or just
like
give. They can
landmarks.
just put it in their GPS. That's how it is
Oh,
now. Like,
but what if your phone is broken? No, you make a good point. You can just put it in your
that's
GPS.
literally how it is now. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
So that makes me think of another thing. What about like, so we have, I was thinking about our GPS. It has a voice that tells us where to go. So what about that? Would we be able to computerize a sort of voice that projects into our heads?
I actually have no idea about that, but
That's
I
a really
mean,
good question
yeah,
I feel
because
like if we have cameras that can
yeah,
collect our
yeah,
thoughts, then
yeah,
surely we can do that.
yeah. But
yeah,
obviously, like all of this wouldn't happen all at once. If this is like a new thing, it would take some time to
Oh yeah, definitely.
create these things, and
yeah. So if it were to happen now, we would go back to like why do we project our thoughts? Is it because we can't verbally speak, or is it because we can't hear? If we can't hear, then the GPS voice wouldn't still work, like if it were to happen now. But if we could still hear, but we just couldn't speak, if since the GPS would still work, but we wouldn't be able to add anything to it.
I think we talked about this briefly earlier, but I think it's like we can't speak right, and also we can't like understand language, like we can't comprehend it.
Okay. Okay.
why would we not be able to comprehend language?
Well,
You think in English, right? Like, how do
that's a good point. Uh,
why
but
would
like,
language go away?
okay, so that means that if it happened now, that all like our old stuff, we'd still be able to just hear it and like it'd be fine.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Old stuff would stay the same. Like you could still hear it. It's
Mm,
just if you were creating
oh,
new stuff,
we wouldn't be able to.
it'd be different. Yeah.
oh, okay. So okay.
So like you could still like listen to like all your old favorite songs or like watch your favorite movie. Like it'd be the same. But
Wait,
if you were creating
songs.
new things,
Yeah,
yeah, songs
music.
songs would be tricky. I don't
You
think
just
music would be new anymore. I don't know how you go about that unless you were to
I
like.
don't. How would you even make music
I think the only
with
one
vocals?
with vocals is
you just
like
project your
using
thoughts.
AI stuff. Like
Yeah. Or you could project your thoughts into like a thought picking up microphone, but you wouldn't still be able to sing. I guess you could just project lyrics.
can you sing in your head?
Yeah, but it doesn't.
Yeah. I had to try for a second. I was like, wait.
I was like,
I mean, if you get a song stuck in your head, I feel like, oh, that would be so annoying. If you have a song
yeah.
stuck in your head, you have to project that to somebody and listen to what song they're listening to in your head.
Oh yeah.
Then you just both have it stuck in your head. Oh, that'd be so annoying.
Especially if it's like a song you hate.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Also, what if like say you're in a police interrogation and you just start playing that song in your head?
You're in a police interrogation, and all of a sudden, all the cops hear "You and I've been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe?" I think that'd be funny. It would suck for
Yeah.
them, but
Actually, yeah, it's a good point. If you could like sort of muffle what they're saying and like louden what you're saying, then you could just like muffle them and play music.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then if you could play every song that like you might not need to listen to music anymore. You could just play it in your head. But then it would just be thoughts. That'd
Yeah.
be just thinking. That's just
Yeah.
thinking. Never mind. What about like concerts and stuff? I guess yeah, if everything works the same,
Well,
then never mind.
yeah.
But new music, well, then it just goes back to music. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean the only part of music that is like hindered by this is vocals. Like all the other stuff is the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then maybe we'd have more like instrumental music, rather than
Yeah,
singing,
maybe.
because it might be harder to have vocals.
Yeah. And like singing wouldn't be much of a talent anymore either.
uh-uh.
Because it's not as impressive when it's just in your head. Like
Yeah.
like the impressive part is like your vocal range, but if we don't have vocals.
Yeah. Very true. Oh, I do have another point, like another question though. What about like when people are intoxicated, like when they're high or like when they're drunk,
Ooh.
then their thoughts would change. Or like if you're entirely sober, but your friend is like high, like as a kite, like they're on the moon. Are you hearing like their high thoughts?
I mean, yeah, but I feel like at the same time, like most people who are high or intoxicated are saying that stuff out loud anyways.
That's true.
For the most part. So I feel like it's not too much of a difference.
Maybe not. Or but what about like if it's um like a heavy duty like drug, like a really hard drug like meth, or something. Would their thoughts just get progressive, like if you've ever interacted with like a meth head, while they were like high, would their thoughts just be like the same as those interactions, or would it be a lot worse because like it's
I mean, I think like say they're seeing stuff, like they'd be projecting that, so you'd be able to see some of the stuff they're seeing.
oh no. Well, then we got to think about like hallucinations and like schizophrenic people and stuff.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
And
God.
I feel like if somebody is projecting like what like their hallucinations to you, like I feel like you're gonna be gaslit a little bit. Like what is real and what's not here.
Yeah, like
That's
that'd be
true.
so scary.
Yeah, and also you can like okay, like say people who are really good at like which I guess is as the world is right now, there's no way of knowing who's really good at this and who's not. But like people who are good at imagining amazing things in their mind, like they could just project that and then yeah, you would have this sort of thing where it's like, okay, what's real and what's not? Because
Yeah.
you can see everyone's imagination.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah, you
I just realized this would make like intimidation really sort of easy because
Yeah.
like what if you just walk up to someone and then create an image in your mind where you're just like attacking them and
Oh,
show that to them.
that'd be awful. I mean, it'd be easy to intimidate people, but like being intimidated, that'd be so scary.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes to like intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
have some pretty bad intrusive thoughts sometimes, and I'm like, why did I just think that? But it's like, but not everybody. Oh, actually, I don't know. Does everybody have intrusive thoughts? I don't know. Maybe not everybody. But like, if you're projecting that onto somebody who doesn't, like, they're gonna be like, "What is wrong with you?" Like,
Yeah. Like if I'm holding a baby, I'm gonna be scared that I'm gonna drop
I'm
the
gonna,
baby.
yeah, literally, I'm gonna be like, what if I just
Like,
drop this
what
baby
if
on
I
its
just
head
drop the
right
baby? What if I just drop? And then the mom or like the parent or whatever is gonna be like, "Give me my baby back."
now? Yeah.
Yeah, I think pretty much everyone has intrusive thoughts. It's just like
The severity of them.
I think right. I think some people have worse intrusive thoughts than others.
Mhm. Like one person's intrusive thoughts would be like, "I could drop this baby on their head right now," and somebody else's would
I
be,
have that one a lot.
"What if?" Yeah. Somebody else's could be, I'm holding a glass bottle. I could just break it over somebody's head and like, stab them, like
I
something
have that one too.
All right, let's save intrusive thoughts for a later date.
Fair, agreed.
We don't need to go sharing all those.
Well, you wouldn't have a choice in this world, so.
That's true. That's true.
I wonder if maybe you'd just like learn to like control them, or if they would like die down a lot over time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking at the start. Like, if we lived in a world like this, I feel like you'd have to kind of learn to suppress those,
Yeah.
or else you wouldn't really get along with people.
Yeah. You kind of have to. Um, and I feel like people would be able to, like, we might be able to have like better emotional connections with people because we're able to like see into their psyche and like understand them uh, much better than before. And then people might be less likely to commit harmful or hurtful acts against other people. Kumbaya, everyone loves each other. I don't know. We just get along with them, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. The only sort of issue with that is when you get several people together who are just like encouraging each other to do those instead of
Yeah.
discouraging.
Yeah. What if you're thinking like, what if you're just chilling and like you're having like a conversation with somebody and then you have like you think back to a movie that you saw with like a terrifying, really gruesome scene, while you're like thinking to somebody, and then they receive like that scene from that movie. They're like, "Why were you thinking about that just now?"
No, I
I
just
think
imagine like you're thinking about butterflies and rainbows, and then for some reason, a movie scene like that comes up, and someone who's just hearing your thoughts is like, "What the heck's going on?"
Bro, what the heck are you thinking?
Yeah,
yeah. I think maybe you'd get better at like staying on topic even in your head, you know?
Mhm.
I mean, I
yeah,
would so.
Because you kind of have no other choice.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah,
yeah. Oh, then would it be easier to like if you're at a job? I feel like it would be easier if you're somebody that's training someone else. It'll be much easier to like go through the training process because you just give them all the training, like
yeah.
telepathically.
That's true. I mean, you can't like give them muscle memory, but
No,
yeah, you can more easily train them.
Yeah. And just like easier like explain things.
yeah,
I think that would make schooling like a lot easier too.
yeah, absolutely. Then I'd like to think about like assemblies and stuff with a bunch of people all in the same room together, and you have one person on stage trying to like say a bunch of stuff, but everybody's collectively like we could disturb the assembly just being in the same room, all thinking out loud to each other. But I guess the buddy system, you could just apply like the buddy system again. Unless you all wanted to like overthrow the school together, you all collectively agreed on doing so
Oh my
in the
gosh.
assembly because all of you were together at the same time.
Yeah.
Then
I mean,
you yeah, like organizing, overthrowing things like that. I feel like would be easier.
Yeah. Also, I don't feel like school would like be as much of a thing. I don't think it would last nearly as long.
I don't think so either.
Or it may not even exist because like if everyone is getting their thoughts from everyone else, then basically that multiplies your interactions with other people by a lot. And so you'd be taking in a ton more information from everything around you. And so I don't know that you would even need to go through school.
I mean, yes, but I feel like a lot of that information you're intaking is not like important information. Like, how often do you think about like social studies or like history? You know, like things like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like
Okay.
school would be done from online. That way, you know, things like tests and stuff like or like homework, like it's a little harder to, you know, cheat on when you can just input your thoughts to everybody in the classroom.
Yeah, I don't know that there'd really be tests because a test is meant to measure how much you know about a subject.
Yeah.
But you could literally just, share with your teacher how much you know.
Yeah, that's true. But if you were like in an online classroom, it'd be a little different.
Maybe. I don't know. If this happened right now, because obviously we don't have the technology to share each other's thoughts as it is right now, um, I don't think that would happen unless our cameras just magically are able to do that all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Well, that was a conversation about what would happen if we weren't able to speak anymore and we would just communicate telepathically. Thank you for listening to Inconsequential Questions.
See you next time.
See you next time.
No, actually, we won't see you at all or hear you, but we will telepathically know what you are thinking.
Bye.
Bye.